How you doing, everybody? Oh, the Popscast is on. Now, listen. On YouTube, if you're seeing us on YouTube, welcome. You kind of know what we do here, right? We'll be changing some things as we go. If you're seeing us on the other platforms, welcome. We are glad to have you. We're glad to get to know you. Please feel free to let me know if there's something you'd like us to do. We're glad to do it. But today, we're going to talk about the music industry. Now, before we get started, I want you to know I've been a fan of music all my life. I'm nearly 60 years old. I've been a fan of music forever. Now, mind you, I was a metalhead for, plus 40 years. But still a music fan. And I think there's some great, great artists around the world, including here where I am in the United States. However, some things have got to change. We're going to talk about it. So what's going on in the music industry? Well, Asia, doing fantastic. Japanese market, the, Korean market, South Korean market, doing amazingly well. The scene over in Europe, the Netherlands, doing fantastic. Got some great metal bands out of there, got some great rock bands out of there, what have you. Do we have great rock bands here, metal bands here? Yeah, absolutely. Problem is they don't put out albums anymore. But like I said, we'll get to that in a minute. Mexico, doing well. Thanks to one band that's brought them to the forefront, right? They've entered the world music market for the first time ever in the past couple of years. Thanks to The Warning. Great band, by the way. If you haven't seen them, come on over to the YouTube channel. If you're not on there, come on over. It's PopzReacts with two, it's PopzReacts with 2 exclamation points. Come on over and join us. Anyway, but what do we need here in the United States? Well, we got a problem here, right? We got a problem in music. Now, there's a lot of things that can tear down your career, right? For instance, we have 2 of the major pop artists on tour right now. They're playing stadiums, huge arenas, etc. They can't sell them out. I just looked before I recorded this just a second ago. Tickets way out there in the back, right? All the way up top, way up in the nose, what we call the nosebleeds, right? $176 to $214. You can't see the stage. You can barely hear a lot of times. A lot of times you got blocked views. Now, if you want to get down on the floor for those 2 shows, you can do that because there's still plenty of tickets. However, if you're going to do that, you're going to spend anywhere between $3,900 and $4,700. That's ridiculous. Ridiculous. That's called ego. And the artists have to set the prices. Now, we know that, right? They kind of tell people, they tell the ticket companies, okay, it cost us this much to put on a show. So we need to sell for X amount, right? We need the floor to be this much, risers to be this much, way out in the back to be this much, because it costs us that much to put on a show. It does not cost you, $3 million per venue to put on a show, I promise you. Unless you got, 200 dancers on stage with you. And yes, one of these does. It's ridiculous. There's no reason for it. If you can't carry the show on your own, what are you doing on stage? It's foolish. Another thing, greed. I mean, greed gets in the way of a lot of things and it ruins careers. It's all about me. I'm the one on stage. Now, there's nothing wrong with a little flexing, right? Nothing wrong. Oh, I nailed that album. I know I did. I nailed that take on that song, whatever. Nothing wrong with a little flex like that. Oh, I can feel it. I know I hit that album right. Hey, that's fantastic, right? The problem is when you start flexing that much on stage that it's all about me. You'll get what I give you. If I decide to do a 50-minute show instead of a 2.5-hour show, that's just what you're going to get. Doesn't matter what you paid. You know, if I decide I'm not going to sing and I'm just going to lip sync through the concert, that's what you paid for. No, we didn't. No, we didn't. And that's another thing that's ruining artists here. Lip syncing and not playing. And yes, I do know about it. I know there's some bands out there right now that I used to go see that are not playing live anymore. I know. I saw a clip on YouTube a couple weeks ago of a band that I used to been to see several times, as a matter of fact. The drummer was supposed to have hits on the crash cymbal at a certain time, and I'm watching the crash cymbal and it's not moving. And it's like, that's a problem. If you can't play or sing live, and I'm not saying everything, right? I'm not saying that. But if you can't at least play or sing some live, you got no business being on that stage. That's a problem for people. Because when they see that, they're going to quit buying tickets. Oh. Well, we just talked about that's what just happened. I'm looking at these shows. They both have shows, right? Tonight. They're not sold out. Neither one of them. They're not going to sell out by tonight. Not with the amount of tickets that are left. That tells me that you're on a downward spiral. And that's a problem. Now, how do you change that? Well, you got to get rid of the ego, number one. You got to get rid of the greed. And you got to change the way you think about going on stage or making an album. Right? We don't need, and this has been a problem in the music business here in the U.S. for a long, long time. We don't need 200 Taylor Swifts in the pop business. We need Taylor Swift and 200 other artists. You know what I mean? We need one Metallica and 200 in that genre. We don't need 200 Metallicas or Eagles or you name the artist, the big-time artist. We don't need 200 of them, right? And that's been a problem for a long, long, long time because they'll say, the record execs will say, ooh, they're selling good. Find me 200 of them right now. You're going, what do you mean 200 of them? 200 like them? No, I want 200 of them. You know, you don't need that. You got to change your perspective or you're never going to get back on track. And right now, I got news for you, record execs and artists here in the U.S. You're getting run over. and you're getting run over badly, right? For instance, Coachella this year. Coachella is a massive festival. We all know that, right? It's one of the biggest in the world. There were 4 artists that came out of Asia and played there this year, and I saw all over the internet XG Cella, Jenny Cella, Lisa Cella, and Cella, and Hypen. 4 Asian artists that everybody went to see other than Lady Gaga. Nobody went there for anybody else. They went for 5 artists. That seems like a problem to me, considering the amount of artists you had there. You know, this is not the festival. It's not the promoters of Coachella. It's not their fault. It's the fault of the artist and the record companies, right? If you want to do something, you have to change, right? You've got to be willing to move forward. You got to be willing to crawl outside of that box you live in. You cannot stay in that same box for 50 years and expect to continue to move forward like the rest of the world is. You can't do it, you know? Now, like I said, am I saying we have bad artists here? No, I just talked about Lady Gaga and Metallica, and and I'm talking about major artists. We've got some really fine independent artists as well, but I'm talking about major artists. You don't put Snoop Dogg, for instance, right? Snoop Dogg has had a couple of really, really good years the last couple of years. He's been everywhere. But you don't need 200 Snoop Dogs. He is one, right? And I have great respect for Snoop, by the way. I don't know a lot about his music because I'm not a rap connoisseur, right? But I have great respect for what he's done as far as his life, what he's done for his community, what he's done, you know what I mean? What he's done for, music out in L.A. and moving music forward out there after the big scandals in rap. I have great respect for that, right? Just like I respect Lady Gaga. She still sings live. She's very good. I don't know a ton about her music because I'm not a American pop fan. I also know, I know who the artists are, like Beyonce and, Katy Perry and several others. I know the names. I don't know a lot about their music because it's not my genres that I live in, Well, I can't say that now because I listen to a lot more pop thanks to the YouTube channels. But it's Asian pop, J-pop, A-pop, J-pop and K-pop. J-rock, gotten into that with Bandmate and Love Bites and, great bands. What we have over here, though, is they're not doing the same type of thing. These bands are trying new things all the time. They're trying different sounds. They're trying different beats. They're trying, you know what I mean? They're not in the same 4/4 time signature for every single song. They're not in that same pattern for every single song all the way through the song. Again, jumping out of your box and trying different things. Now, why do I say this? Because I want success in the music business. Music is what I do on YouTube. I want to see everybody succeed, just like I want to see every creator succeed. The world is big enough for everybody to have success. Everybody. Whether you're right now an independent artist or you're a major artist who needs something to boost what you're doing. I want to see you succeed. I really do. But you're not going to as long as you're right here. You're stuck in that box and you can't do it. So, that's where we're at. And music is going down. I mean, you look at the halftime shows at the Super Bowl, the biggest performance of the year. Now, I'm not saying they're horrible. I'm just saying if you want to put a halftime show on for that performance and boost your career, it better be the performance of your life. You know what I mean? When you play at Coachella, it better be the performance of your life when you play there, or you're not coming back. You know? There's several others when you play at, Madison Square Garden or SoFi Stadium or, the Tokyo Dome or whatever the case. When you play these places, you better be on point. Now, here's the problem. The ones that I've seen play in these places lately that are on point and gaining ground, gaining subscribers and gaining fans and what have you, they're Asian artists. They're European artists. They're not from here. You're not gaining anything because you're not moving forward. And that's the whole point of this. You got to get outside of your box. The record executives here have got to get outside of their box. They can't look at the same thing the same way anymore. It doesn't work. Not with platforms like YouTube and Spotify and what have you. You got too many eyes, too many ears. It's not the same anymore. Music is worldwide now, right? You're not catering to a single play audience anymore. You're catering to the world, and they're listening. And if you don't hear them, you already lost. So, that's where we stand right now in the music business. Look, like I said, I want everybody to succeed because I love music. It's what we do on YouTube, and I absolutely love it. But only about, I think at last count, and I could be a little bit off on this by a point or two, but it ain't by much. About 4% of what we do over there is American artists. And I'm talking about independent artists and major artists. Only about 4%. Now, you could take that up to 5 or down to 3, because I could be a point either way. But about 4% is where we stand on playing them. And we're an all-request channel. Right? Our channels over there on YouTube are all request. So if it doesn't get requested, we don't play it. And guess what? We're not getting it requested. And I'm talking about all kinds of music now because we play everything. Anything from, gospel to country to rock to pop to, we'll play it. Right? And we'll look at it. And we'll listen to it. Just like a lot of other reactors. See, that's the other thing the music industry has got to do here in the United States. They got to think about that. Because with places like Spotify and YouTube, you've got reactors like myself, reviewers like myself, all over the place. And they got eyes on, and they got ears on, and they're listening. Right? And there's a lot of platforms out there, Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube. You know, there's all these new music platforms out there. You're not on an album anymore. Yes, you make albums and we all love them, you know. But you're not on a single album anymore looking at, okay, we've got our fan base and that's it. You don't. Not anymore. That's not the way it works. You know? And believe me when I tell you, a reactor or reviewer or a review on Spotify or a review on Apple Music or whatever the case may be, it can ruin you in a hurry if you're not on point. So, get your act together and let's go. Let's find some success. All right? Listen, I appreciate y'all listening. Appreciate y'all watching for those that are. I hope y'all have an absolutely amazing week and day. Be sure to come check us out on the YouTube if you want to, or the Patreon. We're on Patreon at Block 2. Come over there and join us. Have some fun with us. And I will see y'all later. You have a good one. This is Old Pops.